candidate. Okay, go and read the constitution and even the parties. It says you must have resided in that area. Okay, and have been a member of that party for at least 4 years in good standing. 4 years. So it's honorable I say a member of the party. When did he become a member of the party? Because he's been independent. When did he become a member of the party to file as MPP?
Thank you very much. Honorable, yes, Honorable Ebie Husseini and Yenedi in Komono. Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim, Kofi. Now, white, you know, when you're white, the India.
Kofi.
Black Kakranzo.
As 7 hours per mamino.
Yeah, welcome. So say, MPP for any how, Omoko, Amania or Hanono. Almost say, Omo train speaker ruling, no more who saw Beba now.
I'm in Fawa Fidi, soon I'm in chair at Tifonina. So, near Moye na Menyesho say, a no consuno. Because Omo walk out last week. When the same speaker gave a ruling and you walk out over him. So today, how can you come and say you are waiting for his ruling again? You disrespected the ruling last week. So how can you respect his ruling today? That is on the contrary. Omo double, like the president said, they speak from one side of the mouth and with one thing and speak on the other side of them. And secondly, they respected the ruling of the chair in the previous parliament for a member to be sacked. So how can they not respect the same ruling today? And thirdly, you are saying the rule or the law applies to the future. The same MP who did it in the past parliament, it means it applies to him. This is the future of the past. You can't understand it. And fourthly, justice must not only be done, it must be seen to be done. Omwa pushing a democracy to a tight corner, said the judiciary is finding itself in difficult situation. And I think we are all part of it. When we contested with people in 2012, they lost. Then you presented them in 2016, they lost. Then in 2019, Ufre Omuse, Omumra High Court. Then in 2023, not the Omako Supreme Court. Then Ninkrofona Ewine Wahano. The same people, the Omulusu Parliament, and the Omokogu Supreme Court. So clearly, they are the same people, the same mindset. And sending politicians into the Supreme Court will always amount to taking political decisions, and that is what has brought us here.
Ruling no one has a political decision.
And your ruling no per se. The law is as important as the messenger, and that's why when you are talking of true separation of powers, say ube judiciary, your judiciary, ube ko politics, your politics. But whereby obi contested politics, now lose, obi a party chairman. Now our friend say onko judiciary. Into the party issue, Brenner.
No, omo a ruling, you know.
Yes.
MPP.
Oh, now whole West parliamentary candidate for MPP, Okao. Whole Central parliamentary candidate, Okao. And you can't. But the point is, and on America say going forward, it was a young parliament, and so you're taking a cue of that. So you're no brow. Now you're taking a decision to be a judge, you know. So we are lawyer and no person we are judge. It's a quick decision you have to make as to whether we are judiciary and as to whether we are politician. Now politician what contest it, what lose, what contest it, what lose. After they also make a judge. How will people perceive you? Put that one aside. Say Ushe ruling ya braye bre. Speaker man a decision. Say Anna Jonah send the majority that can say they work throughout the night. With who? Is it with the judiciary or with who? Is it with the Supreme Court or with who? Yeah, the ruling about 5 o'clock ewaha. What walk out 5 o'clock now? What transi? Ama moye meetings at Trotro Aqua Supreme Court within early morning 10 o'clock. Now Supreme Court attending up. How will people perceive the Supreme Court? Let's say one kasa you are pushing the Supreme Court into the arena of politics. And now obia sorena otimika bibia HL Supreme Court. Put that one aside. Empaneling of judges into the Supreme Court is a work. So from 5 o'clock the previous day up to 10 o'clock the following day, how did the Supreme Court get to empanel judges? And how did they get the speaker's ruling? You understand this? And clearly, and I'm not surprised, it takes former politicians or former parliamentary candidates to be able to expedite actions on this. Assuming me, no Kofi. Yena ye this case Eco Supreme Court. 5 o'clock the previous day, 10 o'clock the following day. Can we get a judgment on this? Can we get a panel of judges on this? And how? Because who pushes judges now? People think say, I thank this, I thank that for working overnight and getting it overturned the previous day. 10 o'clock, how come? So people are not Ghana for the populace. Omujidia omuwo institutions, national institutions is weighing out. And clearly, Honorable Bejra, Honorable Gao and a contested, Honorable Gao a contested MPP, Honorable Bejra NDC, and then Honorable Bejra Ababema. Yeah, dear, Gao for the Supreme Court to a channel. Say, how will Bejra appear before Gao? And I'm say at the Camfono, that is why they say, if you are a member of the Supreme, if a member of the judiciary, you don't qualify to contest for MP. That is it. The same way, if you are if you're a politician, I don't see why you should qualify to go and sit in the Supreme Court, why you have not even gone to the appeal court. What political decision went to it? Say, a former parliamentary candidate, 2 times defeated parliamentary candidate, on the ticket of the MPP, who lost twice. The president will call into the High Court and jump in over the appeal court to the Supreme Court. This is
why they now, sir?
I'm talking of the only Bejra Koyano, the Omoma ruling. So clearly, Okotana president now in favor, or no one in appeal court to Aminkoe, Obiko appeal court 10 years, and friend of Supreme Court. Namia me a politician, ya frame me High Court. Now within few years, as I jump on appeal court, High Court. Now Sahani Pana. Minna. And that is why they were able to expedite. When you accelerate appointment to the Supreme Court, it will accelerate your judgment to your cases. That's the way I see this. And this is what we must prevent. Because Titeno Yaka Supreme Court will not be a through. No biake can be against the Supreme Court. Even sending a case to the Supreme Court, lawyers were shivering. But you don't know the outcome of which decision. By sending a national security minister, was it the Supreme Court giving judgment on one side is becoming too much and a national security issue? Look at what has happened. But look at what has happened. And there is no national security issue. Say a parliament that is in the horseshoe now be a mixed parliament. Mixed parliament, which speaker can come and preside over this? Mixed parliament. Who is speaker? Mixed parliament. You can't be preside over presiding. And clearly, say no musha asianka yentimin ruha. And this is the longest democracy so far. 28 years, getting to 32 years. So 32 years of democracy. Obiako Parliament, we are in the 8th Parliament. 4 times 8 is 32. And in 1992, our role is no musha and say no musha asia nkayadruha. Put that one aside. Mene ukasai. Supreme Court no, ewo judge for me no. Supreme Court judges me no ha. Ye veti omu last term. Over 5 months, there's a debate. So Supreme Court to know. Then there's a question on the number of people who are there. So the Supreme Court is waiting for it to get majority to pass the judges. Is it not self-serving? Put that one aside. The same Supreme Court which is giving an argument say, so we allow the decision of the Speaker to stand, then it will deprive the good people of those 4 constituencies of not getting MPs. Is it not the same Supreme Court which enchanted the Asindov MP, Semanimba Parliament, so that it will give majority power to the MPP to be able to pass their e-levy? So how can you approbate and reprobate? Do I need to go to law school before I can know this? You are the Supreme Court who will say, oh, allowing the Asindov to say, MP, he should not be in Parliament, he should go. The people of Asindov didn't get an MP. And that Honorable Jechikoyi should not hold himself as a member of Parliament. And it gave majority in this hang Parliament, majority power to the MPP to be able to pass their e-levy, to pass their VAT, to pass their things. Today, the same Supreme Court is saying that allowing these 4 MPs not to come to Parliament would deprive their constituents of not getting a representation in Parliament. How do you approbate and reprobate?
And
some of the questions that okay. Now I say, what must Supreme Court know who chiromu? And the most difficult thing now is defending the MPP policies or MPP decisions, and that is why we are here. And the problem we are facing now is we not being able to speak when it matters most.
Ghana for an answer more MPs and answer why named Minkasan.
Oh, so Usha Emra Yedima MPP no. Omaniji Omoyekum. And now they are speaking out.
Someone some co-position here duty amwa, Monsimo Becasa.
When na Asino any the babin aye. Say Yama wage na Ebema anybody a okwa parliamentary from your bedroom whom you know. Put that one aside. Ebema ya kadwa min kan biamon emra enisi enyemra. Say okay say the thing applies to the past. Obi ye no the past. Usti the thing applies to the future. Obi ye ne. So what are you telling us? Put that one too aside. The positions of those MPs, the status of those MPs are sisa. Nepano by Parliament, MPP paredi, MPP parliamentary candidate was seen off. Edison, for me now, almost MPP parliamentary candidate. You are independent. Independent when there also your MPP ni. Not just a trust in the confidence of Munyama etuma ono. Near for me now for peno. For these few days, Omunya. Why didn't you know Omunya? They didn't want MPP person to represent them. They say Nipana or represent you or MPP ni. Are you fair to them?
Or MPP ni after we win independence.
Was signing form said and that or MPP ni. Was signing form. But who contest here? Who signing form? Our electoral commission. As far back as 18 September. Sani form say or your MPP ni. So how do you change this?
Honorable Ryan, you can speaker now. You can speaker now how the ruling goes. This is a live coverage. Hana members of parliament no efa ediura. Enti yeguso a yene wo mo edin komo. We be kasa dey na say yene NDC fon kwa na edin komo. The reason is MPP for no are working out. Make us say no wo mo ewo a job 600 ho wo mo offices e ho no mo te aye twen say speaker beba. Just to refresh your memories, afei e na o join here entrance ne they said ye uhunu no sa e na etie ha e na wo mo efa ewremu. But let me just refresh your memory by giving you MPP press conference womo de baye ansana womo work off the dome ena the parliament sitting position and as a baby and womo etna no yemfa womo press conference no briefly na yen sign to ankomo no so
Ghana men here asomdwe ye MPP for ye pe asomdwe Supreme Court akasa Assembly nyina ehye speaker nsa yentumi ye baaye ye nuanom abefa ye kwenwa sadia Ghana esom ye bono yentumi ne omom betu kuntokwa sabi aya adwen ni nyansa ne yade kasa enye ntokwa enti no ye de asomdwe ene ba parliament ye de eko enti no ye kwaye office ye twen opening kase a ote ekwenwa so endra speaker omode court ruling no ebe serve no nti yenim so no so yembranim ni a waka wedi kebmemi kebi echi ache nti ye bompa ye se oba onu be frɛ yen waka se lo edom kuma de omo ye no enye nti no omo nsori enye na ye de etumi sabi se ebe bia obeka so mu di agro nti ye ntumi ni omo nkoko ntokwa ye mba ehwe yen ye wo fasefo ehwe yen Ghana for omo yo mo adwuma ahemfo ehwe omunim MPP ye bobre wiase nyina ehwe se MPP fo a omo wa ban mu den omo beye ese ye kire se kafra yadwimu do ese ye kire se ye Jacob memike bitum se Supreme Court akase idie na obi anim se no ana embra no ye ntama speaker kasa ye no yamfa ntokwa ye pie di na ka se ye kokọ ya asem yo court eno ne entity a ye mpanimfo edikanfo de tete yen nti no eyan ntokwa ye kwaye office asomdwe mu ye gidi se speaker ba de obeke bia no Ghana nyina be hu ya dance na me sham na
balida obi beka say mo akasa no mo fi obi beka say mo akasa mo fi asa wudwane ana
pending suit at the Supreme Court, which pending suit was to seek certain interpretation of Article 97. In fact, Mr. Speaker himself acknowledged that on the floor of the House. As a result of his decision, the majority caucus expressed its disagreement with his decision and gave a clear indication that the matter will be pursued further at the Supreme Court. So on Friday, another process was filed by me, and the Supreme Court, in a unanimous decision, determined the matter and ruled, among others, that one, Speaker's interpretation of the law was wrongful, and that the Supreme Court was staying his decision pending the final determination of the case. In other words, his earlier decision to the effect that those 4 MPs, that is MP for Fomena, MP for Aguna West, MP for Suhum, and Amenfi Central had vacated their seats, was nullified. In essence, we are law-abiding. We have heard that our colleagues say they disagree with the Supreme Court. They've been using unprintable words on the Supreme Court. On Sunday, the minority leader, my respected colleague, Dr. Forson, led the minority caucus in a press conference whereupon they told Ghanaians that today they will come and occupy our seats by their own proclamation. MPP, our tradition is a law-abiding tradition. Our forebears always use the courts to correct the wrong. Since 1992, our leaders have always used civil advocacy and the courts to ensure that we get the peace that we have today. On top of my head, I can recall the era where we used thumbprint ID cards and we used opaque ballot boxes. All these are things of the past today because of MPP. Today we have a very transparent electoral system because of the advocacy of our forebears. It's out there in leadership. The country is hereby informed that we will not give that lawless platform that NDC is seeking. We will not give them that platform. We will not give them that theater they so aggressively seek. This will disrupt democracy and to destroy our nation. We know there are innocent people out there, innocent Ghanaians going about their business, innocent Ghanaians in the academia, innocent Ghanaians who are struggling to get 3 square meals on the table for their families. We care about them. We understand that there is politics, but we must do it in a civil manner. We believe that the appropriate thing is to quietly yield to them and wait upon Mr. Speaker. After all, the ruling was directed not an individual MP. Yesterday, the bailiff of the Supreme Court served Parliament of Ghana through the legal directorate. The director of the legal department received the ruling of the court. So, in other words, Mr. Speaker is on constructive
Sabre Adjo Asafo ena ohunu se wadu ha no na se the media for no ye bombard no honorable kakrebi on ka hwe kra oh just get to say onko an waka o omunyina akọ ose on ka hwe ebi owura mu na opia obekasa so far MPP fo no nyina obi ani ha ono nko an na aka say ono nko an na waka wa join sisi an ye say e betumi na di nkomo but we are seeing say ebi a wawura mu no probably obenya 1 or 2 bi na waka ma hu say so opia ba wo say oko ai enti I mean, hopefully, yeah, Watson. All right, that was our 40. You go so, Parliament anymore. So them kind of conference center, and now yeah, have a sitting. Conference center, and you have a sitting and tea. Yeah, share what becomes of Speaker Sonia Mayo. Non do nice over, but Ebiana and also Eka Hobi, and probably that is the reason why my name say Onya Emma. And I was your tent Nasi. I want to say. Members of Parliament no ebia omonya kakra aduane kakra no wo mo edi adwasa for AP enti bra oye den what say aduane hu nsantwerefo na wasan mate wasan AP but here probably ebia obeka just something little nenkofo no anyhow whether say na onim enti no baye ana say honorable say Adwasafo whether say it's possible say no onim say wo mo anyhow na wa betom enti we na kwen say tafra wato enkrani mu probably that is how we put it na just otumo say ompese obepie kra na yenya no but as I say opie na yetumi ene no edi enkomo kakra onka ketuwe bi keke yeah hwese opie eba na yene no edi enkomo but the place was really packed. To see I won't say ambulance and the ambulance service was here very early in the morning. And one more ST, I want to say one more bus ambulance way no back on so and Isihano, the police military no earlier in the morning and one more a buy and no and Shemubia later a buy and say na one more year a different program. You know and a ma Sabri just kakrebi now we name so many hana.
This is our way.
Honorable. No name so many hana I say. Oh, kakrebi. Oh, yeah, Phil. Honorable, just something. Kakrebi na yenya onako. Oh, my fans were still.
Honorable, you didn't meet your colleagues in the chamber. You followed the papa. Honorable, your colleagues are not in the chamber. You are going to the main.
Honorable, I just have for Kasa no si on Kasa. We say life na no obo. Yemfa design na kakra. I was for osi on Kasa there ye ni scribe na tade na say de wasi afa na ho na kakra. Ohunu say color blend na so de e wo mpa na enti de wa ya ne se kasa ne de on kasa uhunu se media no so edi na chi den yes se ne nkofo ne nyina ekọ the other side enti o se on kasa na media no so tata no se bia obeka just one word but o se there be enya dia obekasa enti this is the Accra International Conference Center barricade center no na bia police for no barricade no ewo ho and then you move straight into baby event nankasa ekoso and yeah say currently no the year train no a speaker and speaker Alban Kingsford Mani Babin My name is that can be possible. Yes, the way a police for open the gate, you know. It is very possible. Say the Speaker of Parliament and Asabre Orbano. I just have for Afro in the car. And he say Speaker of Parliament and a motorcade Edinenim and say another car Edinenim Womo AB for the Speaker of Parliament who say Francano Ebosro, meaning say Alban Kingsford's money Baben. Sabra Babe drew yet the Parliament House. Now this will mean say sitting no ever shall see it. Sitting no ever shall see it, and then we will get exactly what he will be telling us. And the Speaker Afa Echiho, I don't know if that will be his entry point. Who say members of parliament and also members of parliament no who says Abre woman so ashasia womo e move in na the akano womo etimi aye. So inside her we'll be bringing you live from the inside as well. Abra the Speaker of Parliament Abba no Babidruno and to say members of parliament no remu na jumadi atumi ashase. So yemfa broadcast no we no, let me find out if the speaker will be using this side and I say probably use the other side. And see yeguso
long time. I hope you are
all right, and Sabre Speaker F at the other side. Now, we members of parliament and so now who says Sabre, more in asan liar, or more pass it through the scanner. Now, woman a room. If we end the straight, now you move to your setup. You're setting or inside where what exactly will happen on the floor. And then Honorable Kennedy Japan. Honorable Ken, where the kid too heavy. All right, Honorable Kennedy Japan, Sababedu. Could that be coincidence? When the free access here and one of us here, I don't think what I'm thinking. Honorable Kennedy Japan. So currently, he will be the only MPP member of Parliament. Or what chamber has here? Because Nanka Adjwasafona the only member of Parliament or NPP but as it stands now, Speaker Aba, Honorable Kennedy Japan. But as to say onim anase onim no, we can't tell. Enti yentwen so ketuwa bi ne nhwe bi ana wapie anase obeje nchia we inside na wapie or whatever it is no yetumi ehunu. Enti yeguso we Parliament of Ghana sitting at Ekoso but we are trying to get you all the angles covered. Now wait to me and some no said etie but who say okay Speaker afọ actually ho ewuremu and definitely the announcement will be sounded. Mr. Speaker Nafi was sorry yeah anyway wa ha na you enjoying the feed from inside ho.
Thank you very much. Immediately are boycotting Parliament until this matter is determined by the Supreme Court. The Speaker has no right to interpret the Constitution, and it is so clear that what he did was to give advantage to the NDC and do the bidding of the NDC. We are not going to go further to litigate. We have a process at the court. We will follow it up, if the court makes a pronouncement, we'll respect the orders of the court. But because we believe that the issues we have raised are issues for interpretation. Thank you very much.
The NDC minority has just moved from minority to majority. In fact, the people of Ghana voted for the NDC majority, but if not certain machinations, this should have happened from day one of this parliament. But you see, finally we are here. We are here to do the business of the people of Ghana. We are here to begin the process to reset our country. Our country has gone through very difficult times. In fact, oftentimes the people of Ghana have blamed Parliament for not standing up for the people of Ghana. But obviously, you can't blame the NDC minority because we are not having the working majority. Today, we have the working majority, and we'll begin the process to reset our country. We want to use this opportunity to assure the people of Ghana that the NDC majority will stand for the people of Ghana any day, any time. We will begin the process to move to the majority side and elect a new second deputy speaker on Tuesday. We assure the people of Ghana that we will also take over majority of the committees of parliament. And we'll do the work in a way that will benefit the people of Ghana. We have gone through so much as a country, and this cannot continue. We thank the Speaker for standing with the people of Ghana, respecting the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, respecting precedent and the standing order of the people of Ghana, of the Parliament of Ghana. You know, all of this, we thank the people of Ghana by standing with the people of Ghana. Thank you very much. Leader. Today is quite historic. The NDC minority has just moved from minority to majority. In fact, the people of Ghana voted for the NDC majority, but if not certain machinations, this should have happened from day one of this parliament. But you see, finally we are here. We are here to do the business of the people of Ghana. We are here to begin the process to reset our country. Our country has gone through very difficult times. In fact, oftentimes the people of Ghana have blamed Parliament for not standing up for the people of Ghana. But obviously, you can't blame the NDC minority because we are not having the working majority. Today, we have the working majority, and we'll begin the process to reset our country. We want to use this opportunity.
But we are warning this. They want it to be started. We said, if you can be there and film, it is not our house. The 10 people can be here and film. Me, I will come first. The first day we set this thing, me, GBC, GH, like Metro did more than me. We will be doing it. We know now we did the thing. We give the list to the next day I can somebody do it. I can't talk anything. The next day now, I'm not come early. I can stop every day. I'm not come tight.
If you want to do this,
no, not shouldn't go. Not Masha said, we pass fight. When we go to the back,
that he will come first.
he will come and
And yet, permanent.
I don't have any problem. I came and somebody has occupied my place. I never said anything. I just went back and stayed there. Hello? No, you cannot camera. You have your book. I'm not anything. You Yes. For what? That's all. How are you doing? No, you tell me what I said.
Don't put him in the he will bring it.
What's the best in the tower? Now, other also don't come here. Taking of you know, this is to make a day. Where are the so who are Hannah and yes, sir. No, you can show. There's no space there. Forget about it. Can you understand me? Why there? I need to care about me. I need to care about me. You are not going to rich. The family always said that they were really that they should say, no, they are going to do me.
Thank you very much for staying with us. You're watching GBC News. My name is Darrell Alantego. This is the special and live broadcast from Parliament, where today in the history of Ghanaian democracy and Ghanaian politics, we have two majorities and a speaker. And a third arm, which is the Supreme Court, seeking somehow to direct affairs in Parliament. And people find or call that problematic. It is actually the tension we currently experiencing countrywide. I'm going to go on the phone to speak to lawyer Kwesi Boamah to help us make sense of all of this and what possibly we can expect to be the way forward. Good morning, Lawyer Boamah, for joining us.
Good morning, Alan.
Thank you very much, Lawyer Boamah, for your time. Lawyer Boamah, first of all, you have been watching or listening, perhaps monitoring events since last Thursday to this morning. What so far has been your impressions?
Thank you very much, Alan. I think that we have an inherent situation of separation of powers and then check and balances within the three arms of government, as you may want to call it. And each one of them serves as check and balance on the other. And so we realize that none of these three arms has absolute power. It's cut across. The executive has to be checked by Parliament. Parliament has to also be checked by the judiciary. The judiciary has also to be checked one way or the other by Parliament. And so there is nothing like a particular arm of government having absolute power to operate. Even though the whole concept of separation of powers, as espoused by Montesquieu, is not really enshrined in our constitution. I stated that there's going to be separation of powers. But by virtue of the provisions and the various actors within these three arms, clearly make a case that we are under that sense of separation of powers. You know, what has happened is very simple. And the Constitution gives anyone, whether artificial or natural person, to go to court, and the Supreme Court, to take for some form of declaration or relief when the person feels agree that a particular provision of the Constitution has been infringed upon, or certain acts or omissions of some people or somebody is not in line with the Constitution. And so Honorable Afenyo Makin invoked the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court under Article 130, taking for a declaration that the action by the Speaker of Parliament to declare for seat vacant is manifestly unconstitutional. But then the issue that has brought this whole misunderstanding and somewhat constitutional crisis is the decision of the Supreme Court to stay the orders or the decision of the Speaker of Parliament pending the determination of the matter before it. That is whether the Speaker acted constitutionally or otherwise. And I spoke to your colleague the other day. As a matter of fact, I did state that I do not know of any law, of any rules of court that gives power to the Supreme Court to stay an already made decision or an order of Parliament. So that is my point. And all that I know about stay of execution is the temporary suspension of a court judgment. And there is not a court judgment. And so this is where the confusion is coming from. And the general notion, which can be erroneous, that the Supreme Court has been biased over the period, has really actuated this whole confusion in Parliament.
Right.
And so now Parliament is also seeking to say that they are not subject to such orders of the Supreme Court. But that cannot be true. Because per Article 1, we operate under the supremacy of the Constitution. We, unlike the British system or the UK system, we believe that the Constitution is the source of the powers of the various actors of the Constitution.
Yeah.
That is the executive, the legislature, and judiciary.
Right. Okay.
And then the same Constitution has given powers to the Supreme Court to declare actions and inactions of these various actors, whether constitutional or otherwise. And so now the difficulty I have had, which I still stand by, is that the manner at which the Supreme Court was able to issue that plea of execution concerning an order that didn't come from the court.
Right. Like, interesting you mentioned that, but does that then call into question a certain legality or jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to either direct or stay any operations or business of Parliament?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. We, as a system, Ghanaian judicial system, we practice this adversarial kind of system, whereby somebody must invoke or issue a writ of any jurisdiction of a court. And that is what has happened.
Right.
But what is causing this confusion is the manner at which Supreme Court was able to stay that decision of Parliament. And that is where the confusion is coming from. Right. As a matter of fact, anybody who is acting based on any provision of the Constitution and the person acts contrary to it, maybe the interpretation the person has professed to it is erroneous, then the original jurisdiction can be invoked. So whatever opinion market or number opinion market did is in order, because somebody must take that step.
Right.
And that step has been taken.
Right.
But the ramification of such an interlocutory order, such as staying the decision of a non-judicial body,
right,
like Parliament, so to speak, is what has brought this confusion.
And will the Speaker be right, as some have called on him, to perhaps ignore that order or directive by the court and go ahead with his job as the head of or the leader of Parliament? And if he may be wrong, what could possibly be the repercussions if he sidesteps that order?
Now, the Constitution has made a provision concerning anybody attempting to subvert the Constitution.
Yeah.
And the Constitution even gives power to you and I to even deal with that person. And to the extent that we will be criminally absolved of any act towards making sure that the Constitution is sacrosanct and protected. And so, to my mind, I think cool heads must prevail.
All right.
Even if the decision has been made erroneously, but the fact that the Supreme Court has that power in terms of constitutional interpretation and enforcement and everything there is to it, even if they have acted erroneously, even if that is the case, I think that they should just allow, for the time being, look at the fact that we are far approaching election period, and the fact that this particular matter will be soon decided. Because now that it is decided, or it comes out that the act of the Speaker is unconstitutional, it amounts to the same thing. It means that these people must be reinstated or their seats have not been vacated. So I really think that it is about time we allowed cool heads to prevail, and so that we won't create any constitutional crisis at this juncture of political life. We are approaching election time, and we need to exercise maximum restraint. The various actors must judge to find a lasting solution to avoid instances of constitutional crisis.
Let me take you back once more to the subject or the question of legality of the Supreme Court's order, especially where it sought to stay Parliament's proceeding on whatever order has proceeded from the Speaker. Now, if Parliament or the Speaker's office, for that matter, decides that, well, in view of the separation of powers, we are a law unto ourselves. And for that matter, we cannot take directives from the Supreme Court. How will that enhance or foster a certain cooperation between the both sides on the floor of the House?
That's why I did indicate earlier that we are at a crossroad.
Right.
Yes, a decision might have been done erroneously, but the point is that we are likely to enter into a constitutional crisis.
Okay.
When a body is supposed to adhere to the orders of the Supreme Court decide not to do so. And so you can imagine the precedent that will be set. And so now it appears, as if the provisions of the Constitution are not being adhered to, are being breached liberally, because there is an order. So even and then the most unfortunate thing is that the Supreme Court is the final arbiter of such matters, and there is nowhere else anybody can go. So I really think that they should allow them,
right,
for the time being, to decide the substantive matter.
Right. For those of us who are students of precedent, will this, if the Speaker should obey and stay execution of his ruling since last Thursday, what will this particular directive from the Supreme Court become in terms of reference to precedents, so that in future a party or a speaker can refer to this particular directive and say, in view of that, I am either directing this way or that way? Will that become a bad precedent for us in future?
Alan, the matter is that whichever way you look at it, in as much as these rules or laws are not available to say the orders of Parliament, the Supreme Court can equally decide to come up with decisions very carefully. It means they're not based on any law.
Okay.
But it is not a good practice. So at the end of the day, the body who has been entrusted with such responsibility or jurisdiction is the Supreme Court.
Right.
And so even if the error has been made, to my mind, which I think so, I think it would take the Supreme Court to interpret it.
Yes.
And sometimes out of policy, public policy reading, they can offer an extremely benevolent interpretation to consider various factors prevailing in our country. And so when it comes to the issue of court cannot be a decision, whether you agree or not, as a matter of fact, I went to court yesterday, whether it was based on law or otherwise or whatever, the decision has been made. And the argument some people will make is that, yes, there are no laws. But then at the same time, can you also say that saying nothing says that they can, in terms of law, give them the power to stay an order of Parliament? They can equally also do that to create it to become a law. So more or less, they are the final arbiter of what it takes in terms of law.
Right.
So the precedent that will be set wouldn't be a good one. If the orders of the Supreme Court should be obeyed, then state in Article 1 that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land.
Yes.
And all other
this point has been arrived at as a direct result of a certain operation of run that by you and see new to suffer if they should go ahead, or who will suffer the loss of 3 seats, conducts himself or herself in a certain way automatically triggers forfeiture of their membership of the party. And that is what perhaps has led us to this juncture. Now, does automatic in this context mean wait for a directive from the party, or automatic means automatic and therefore requires no triggering, intentional or accidental?
Alan, all other laws, like I said earlier, are subject to the provisions of the Constitution.
Okay.
And in this particular juncture, the provision in question, the impending provision now, is Article 97(1). G.
Yeah.
Which is very clear that an MP who leaves his party, more like crossing carpet.
Yeah.
That is, the party that brought him to power, he leave that party to become an independent party or to cross carpet to another party. The essence of this particular provision is to ensure that the mandate that has been given by the lottery based on the statute of that political party is kept and is not of that individual MP.
Okay.
And I have maintained on your network that I do not subscribe to those who say that the futuristic plans or the future plans of MPs who have not relinquished their current mandate. But if you read all the commentary concerning that particular provision, it is geared towards avoiding one party state system.
Sure.
Whereby members of parliament in parliament can, from each party, can cross to each other, or they can easily be bought or manipulated. So when your mandate has been given to you, the mandate must be intact. You have no business whatsoever crossing it. The fact that I've said that 2024, I am going to contest with a different ticket. Is it the same as saying that today I have relinquished my money given to me in parliament? The emphasis here is on the current tenure, current tenure of that particular MP. It is not about any future in the tenure. So when the MP decides that I will not, as a matter of fact, be with the MPP coming this next election, something that is in the future cannot be related to the current now, as they say. So until the person says that, yes, I'm reneging on that mandate in parliament and not do business with NDC. But here is the case. Clearly, the memorandum sent to parliament by Honorable Afenyo Markins will clearly state that these MPs have not said that they are not doing business, they are relinquishing their mandate given to them on the ticket of the MP. They are not saying that. And so, as a matter of fact, if you have this interpretation, then obviously the application that has been done is erroneous or interpretation. But the speaker is erroneous. And I have said that the Constitution gives the power, the jurisdiction to only the High Court. The High Court to determine issues of the validity of an election of an MP, or whether or not an MP has vacated his or her seat.
Right.
And what it means is that the same MP ought to be given a fair hearing. And so it doesn't lie in the motion of any member of parliament or whatever to decide such a matter. And same does not lie within a particular political party's manifesto or what constitution or whatever you may want to call it. If we are talking about the national constitution, and in the event that a seat has been declared to be vacant, in this case by a high court or by the death of an MP, the constitution makes it a case for the clerk of parliament to notify the electoral commission. So the issue of the speaker coming into this whole matter, for me, I do not share that view. The speaker does not wield that power. Neither can any subservient rule or law of a political party override the constitutional provision. So that is my view on this matter.
Now, does it therefore mean that perhaps the Speaker can be accused of usurping the powers of the Supreme Court by declaring a seat vacant, or perhaps the High Court?
Yes, that is why Honorable Antonio Marquez has gone to the Supreme Court, invoking the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to interpret and enforce the 1992 Constitution. So if Article 2(1), any person deems an act of any person to be inconsistent with the provision of the Constitution, or even an omission, failure to act, the person can invoke the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Okay. And that is what Antonio Marquez has. Right. The ramification of that particular action is this kind of how we're having now. Right. That is coming out as a result of the stay of execution, which is very novel, which is very new to some of us, as to whether or not. But then, as I explained earlier, it is the Supreme Court. We say that the judge, the law lies in the bosom of the judge. But at the end of the day, what is even not law today, tomorrow can become law.
Sure.
It's a matter for all of us.
That attend to the floor, we would have nothing.
Everyone has made a decision. An order has been made. There is no other body again to nullify this. It's the same Supreme Court. So if anybody is minded to challenge this decision, I think the right place we should go back to the Supreme Court. But for the time being, the third decision is enforceable and it must be enforced. Other than that, we are entering into a situation of a constitutional crisis. So who must prevail on this matter? The parties must judge. We have less than 2 months or so, I don't know whether more than 2 months, to go into an election. And now, all that we need, and even if these seats have been declared vacant, it's less than 3 months to election. There cannot be any by-election whatsoever. And so I think that they should just come together as two mature units or bodies, so that we respect them. That's why we have entrusted them with the power to make this on our behalf. We really want to see them fighting. We really want to see them in a very unpleasant situation in Parliament. So I'm just praying that all of them that will come together and find a solution to this. But I think that the order must be obeyed. Other than that, there will be a constitutional crisis. And the consequences we cannot bear.
Right. Can the Speaker, therefore, going forward, be expected to play the role of a father who called the both houses to order and say, well, I made that declaration or I put out that information on the basis of what is currently ongoing, I take back or I withdraw. And so let's go on as nothing has happened, and let you two parties go and work out how you're dealing with your members who are either defecting or seeking to rejoin.
Exactly what my point is. And you and I share the same sentiment, the same view. But at this point, we need cool head. We need mature mind. We need to be able to do this without any kind of confusion or fight between the parties. We need to be able to come to that kind of consensus building. And that has been the hallmark of the parliamentary business all this while. So I think that we must just not venture into getting into one, very difficult positions that we cannot meet each other halfway or find a common ground. I really think that we don't need this time. We don't need this at the time, this time of our political life.
Right. It's been wonderful speaking to you, Lawyer Kwesi Boamah. the law can sometimes make nonsense of itself, as some would have us think. But yes, that is what it is. So we're grateful for your time, Lawyer Boamah, and we will call on you once again if the need arises. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Alan. Nice talking to you. Bye.
Fantastic speaking to you, Lawyer Boamah. And so that was the voice of Lawyer Kwesi Boamah, who has helped us so far to understand some of the things currently ongoing, the position of the law, the interpretation of thereof, and who has the power to interpret as to whether or not the Supreme Court can be seen to stay in the operations of Parliament, and whether that is in contravention of what the meaning of the separation of powers are. Really, from last Thursday, we've had to deal with a lot of legal questions, and the legal back and forth alone is enough to tell us to tread cautiously as we seek to bring a certain finality to the current two majorities and the Speaker. The Speaker of Parliament, in concluding his presentation or addressing the House, remarked, though, that the House is duly and so informed, that some call a certain passing of information, not a direct ruling or an order. Some has also said that in itself has incited a certain understanding within and among the NDC rank and file to think that they currently hold a certain majority. That has triggered a certain confusion. Some call it mischievous confusion. Well, whatever meaning you make of it, that is allowed within the meaning of the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. I'll take a break from here, and when I come back, I'll go back on the phone and get some more meaning to what we're doing currently. Thank you very much. Keep watching GBC News. My name is Darrell Alantego. Here I take a break. Broadcast from the precinct of Parliament, where since last Thursday a directive, some call it a ruling, some also call it an order from the Speaker of Parliament creating a certain near constitutional crisis, i.e. we had to go to also help us make meaning of all of this, order directive brouhaha. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Samoa.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, what has been your observation since last Thursday when the news broke of a new majority in this country?
It's interesting and surprising, and even in another sense, it's alarming. It's interesting that that because we are started long ago when we started this constitutional rule in 1995, and came back, and then we are this was want to do something very clear. When it comes to Parliament, what happens to Parliament is the domain of us. And in the Constitution, no institution or person interfere in the domain of Parliament. You should have said that. Because after the meeting by Speaker Patten on Thursday,
Lawyer Samoa, please help us. Lawyer Samoa, if you can hear me, kindly reposition yourself. We're having a difficulty getting you speaking clearly to us so we can understand you. If you kindly indulge us. I also mentioned earlier, I lost sight of your office or your portfolio as a senior lawyer. I apologize for not addressing you accordingly.
Don't worry about it.
That's fine. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I hope I'm a bit clearer.
Yes, I can clearly hear you now.
Okay. As I said, when Speaker Pagbo gave his ruling on Thursday, the members of Parliament who disagree with us had a remedy speaking in Parliament.
Mm-hmm.
They could have filed a motion challenging the ruling of the Speaker.
Okay.
Of course, they had a political difficulty because once the Speaker has ruled them as a minority, it meant that they were fighting that particular group to challenge the ruling of the Speaker from a position of weakness. But it is a weakness of only by one group. Now, why am I advising that they ought to abuse them? On 6th January 2021, the NDC was not in the majority. Neither was the NPP in the majority.
Thank you.
And yet the NDC won the battle to secure the position of the Speaker of Parliament. So the people have governed their supporters and secured some votes from the other side to challenge successfully the ruling of the Speaker concerning the vacation of the seat of the four MPs who had changed their status since they entered Parliament in 2017. They didn't do that. They rather ran to the Supreme Court, which I have seen a lawyer for a very long time, but 3 decades or more. The Supreme Court actually attempted the same day and gave a ruling. In a moment after that. Now, once you do that, of course, risk getting the people to lose trust in it. Because we know that there are cases that have been sent in the Supreme Court which are equally important to the people of Ghana. They want the resolution of those cases. The Supreme Court has not heard those cases. And yet they are able to listen to Honorable Apenja Market the same day and give him a written ruling. Those practices harm our democratic government. And that is what I'm extremely disturbed at. And I hope that the Speaker, who is holding the gavel now, will resolve this matter in a way that will promote our democracy, strengthen our institutions, and make us all feel safe in this republic.
All right. Lawyer Samoa, a certain interesting development just coming through from information I'm receiving here has it that before I come to what the Speaker has asked his lawyers to do, let me quickly put this forward that information just reaching us, the Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Alban, Right Honourable Speaker Bagbing, has requested the Ghana Armed Forces to come and conduct a bomb sweeping of the chamber for proceedings to start in the chamber. The House is currently sitting at the Grand Arena of the Accra International Conference Centre. This request has been necessitated by pronouncements of the Speaker during proceedings of Thursday, October 17, 2024, in response to a statement by the minority leader calling on the Speaker to declare seats of 4 members of Parliament vacant in line with Articles 97(1)(g) and (h) of the Constitution and the public commentaries that follows. Are we slowly walking ourselves into dangerous waters given the way we're dealing with these matters?
No, it's that it is the Speaker of Parliament who actually requested the presence of the